Morning, Tim.
Hey, good morning, everybody.
Morning. Dwayne's just coming back in. He's got his hand up. You got your hand up, Dwayne? Is that okay? All right, it's John will not be joining us in this portion of the meeting. So at this point in time, I'd call the meeting to order. The order is up and going. Okay. Prior to today's meeting, the board met for the session to discuss matters of their opinion fell under Section 35 of the Services Act, and also as per the Open Sound Police Services Board bylaw number 2019, Section 19. Moving on to the next item, approval of the agenda. If I have some motion for that. Ian, thank you. Seconder, Joe. All in favor? Declaration of conflict of interest, other than minutes and matters listed on the agenda. Hearing minutes and presentation, deputation, and public question period. And we have an item on the agenda that 16B that talks about a social media video with Jason Crane and Siobhan Mark. Thank you. So rather than have them around for a whole meeting, we thought we'd put them on the agenda first. So I'll turn it over to you and to show their social media. Yeah. Okay. Over to you.
All right. First off, glad that we're actually here to actually present on this. It's social media and communications, and kind of looking at a strategic plan from the services point of view on building up on our social media and communications strategy in-house, and then for the citizens of Owen Sound. And so I will apologize early because I'm not very good at keeping things short, but I will do my best. So Siobhan told me that I have to stick to my script. Anyway, so when I first started this job, one thing I noticed when I was doing presentations, and that there's a lot of citizens who just had a misconception of what actually happens here and how big the service actually is, and they didn't realize maybe the full extent that this is this is a policing hub, and that a lot of stuff actually happens here and at the courthouse. And just the general questions that you would get in the community seemed a little bit odd that information maybe didn't transfer to the average citizen. I think anybody who knew people in the service or community partners who work with the service closely knew that, but the general population maybe didn't know as well as we did. And so the idea was, what was a way that we could actually increase that presence? So we've slowly started to have a better social media presence, and also that communications piece with our community partners and with our citizens. And then we realized that there was even another step that we probably needed to do, and it was talking about the service in a very professional manner when we're out in the community, whether we're working with our provincial partners or our community partners. So that's why this all came about. So I'm going to talk a little bit about just the first little bit, and then I'm going to turn it over to Siobhan. Basically we decided, we talked to the inspectors and the chief about establishing a social media and communications committee, so it just didn't fall on to the shoulders of one or two people. It was really important that the members themselves had some input into this, and because the service is not just comprised of officers, that we have a lot of civilians, both in our communications department and as well as our specials. We really thought it was important that everybody had input as to what we do and why we do it. So our objective was basically to generate and obtain content in a variety of forms. So not just putting out your standard media release stuff, but actually just seeing what we do in real time and showcasing that the people who work here are people in our community. We live, we breathe here, we coach here, we're your neighbors. And also to educate, second point was to educate the members themselves on the importance of social media and communication as it relates to the work that we do here and to the citizens of Owen Sound, because we wanted to make sure that the citizens of Owen Sound knew what we do. And this is a very busy police service, which I certainly found it fast and furious when I first started. The call volume here per officer, it's busy. It's a hub because we're the only city, probably within a 2-hour radius. So, a lot of stuff that happens in the city. So it was really important that the members also understood the importance of this. So we also realized that we need to continue to evolve with the constantly changing trends in social media so that we can best educate and engage the public. Not only about what we do here, but as we found even with COVID-related stuff that actually comes from the province of Ontario. So that information is standard, it's generic, and it's coming right to the citizens. And actually, it's not on here, but the amount of people that actually follow OSPS is quite high. When you look at Facebook, we almost have about 5,000 followers. On Twitter, we're over 4,000. Instagram, we're about 1,500. And so there's a lot of people who have a generic interest in the stuff that we do. When you compare that to the County of Grey, the City of Owen Sound Public Health, we're definitely probably in the top 5 organizations anywhere in and around this area. So it's important that that information transfers to the public. Next slide, please. So what we've done internally, just so that you're aware, we've identified platoon representatives for the committee, so that each platoon, because stuff happens, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, that if stuff actually does happen, it happens in real time. If we can get that information out to the general public, we will certainly do so. And we also want to make sure that we provide training to the officers and civilians. We didn't just send out a presentation. The idea was that whether it was Siobhan or myself or members of the committee, that they would actually go out and talk to our service members so that they actually knew why we were doing it. It wasn't just read it, check it off, and send it in, that they had a chance to ask questions. Because social media is important, and also communicating with the citizens of Owen Sound is extremely important. We implemented a new monthly submission process to generate content from all areas of OSPS. And that actually took place, the chief approved it, and it actually has taken place since the start of this year. And the level of involvement from officers on the road, from communications, from records, from bylaw, it's been fantastic. So it also gives us more of a wide variety of things that are happening. So as an example, if frauds and scams are coming in to the communication center, and if there's an ongoing fraud and scam that's actually happening, if we know that, we can get that information to the general public right away. This is the number that's coming up. Do you want to answer? Or we can basically redirect them as follows. Yeah, so you can next slide, please. So what we're working on, we're working to expand and diversify our online presence on a variety of social media platforms, basically for the citizens of Owen Sound, and to create content to allow for more interaction with members of our service. So if we have if we hire a new officer, like a Q&A, so people actually get to know when our officers are on the street, who they are. And we've slowly started to do this as our officers have started working here, so that people know them when they engage in the patrol. Some informative videos on things that are relevant to our priority populations, to our youth populations, to our senior populations, to our local businesses. And stuff that involves youth in the law. So this has been a big one, especially with the work that I've been doing. A lot of calls from families and parents about youth in the law and things that are happening, especially when youth have access to social media platforms. And you're basically giving them a tablet or a phone and they get access to the world. And you can fall into some pretty dark pitfalls. And so currently working with a lot of schools right now, grade 7, 8's doing this, but also getting information out to the parents themselves. Next slide, please. I'll turn it over to Siobhan.
So Jason's talked a bit about what we've done and what we hope to do. Another thing that's come up that we think we're kind of missing, and it came up by some of us had come across this video, which is by the West Grey Police Service. So it's on their Facebook page. So we watched it, and I'll play a little bit. We don't have to play the whole 3 minutes, but I'll lay that up just to kind of see. So we saw this and we thought that's a small police service, and we think it's a pretty professionally done and polished video for a service of their size. So we'll show a little bit to start.
community-focused organization that focuses education and community involvement. We're looking for people who are educated, with work experience, and practical life experience, and those people that want to put that into the community they work with.
I really want to be involved in the community. I want my community that I live in to be safe. I live in the area. And I find that policing is the most interesting job you can have. It's different every day. You're never bored. It's exciting. Everything we put into policing does it include.
So we won't show the whole thing. That's about half of it. So we currently don't have a video like that. So that shows officers, it shows a message from the chief, it shows the landscape of the area that they cover. As it goes on, we did talk about it, and it is designed for recruitment, but it's heavily firearms training focused, which again, we wouldn't necessarily want to feature that. We have a lot of other things. We have more departments. They have basically they just have officers and we do their communications. So they don't have as many different departments as we do, but overall, for a small service, we thought, in talking to people, that's something that we thought we probably should have to start showcasing our service, what we have to offer, the different careers that we have within. So I started in the core unit last July, and when I got started, I spent a lot of time downtown meeting with the business owners, introducing myself, getting to know them, getting to know a little bit about their business. And I made my way one day into CTRE Productions, which is located in the old BMO building downtown, at the corner of 9th Street and 2nd Avenue East. In there, I met Russ Ellis, who's the owner, and I learned about their business, which I had no idea what they did, but it's quite fascinating. So as we got talking, I had that West Gray video in mind, and I kind of just thought, this sounds like something that they probably could be involved in or would be able to be involved in. So I got talking to him, just some general ideas. So in talking to him, I learned that they were recently hired to promote the River District in One Sound. Okay, let me just, if you want to play that first one. So this is just an example of some work that CTRE Productions. So this is just an example, if we get it to play, of some of the videos that they've done. And these are short. River District 1, I think the overall is about a minute and a half. And then he has also created some specific ones to the arts in the River District and the restaurant. So that's just an example of some of the work that Russ has done. And again, I brought that video and the idea back to the committee and spoke with Jason. And again, everyone was pretty impressed because again, we watched that video and it showcases the beautiful city that we live and work in. However, that's not the city that we're seeing every day. It's kind of, everyone was pretty impressed with how nice that video, professional that video turned out. So we continued some talks with Russ, and Jason and I met with him at the studio a couple times before Christmas. just in brainstorm, kind of what we had in mind for an overall video. And again, in our minds, we thought the video could serve so many purposes. It would, again, showcase what we did here, what we had to offer, and it also would indirectly showcase the city as well. And we thought that would be a great thing to have on our website, on our social media for prospective applicants wanting to work here. So we thought we could use it for recruitment purposes, but also in talking to him, which he's going to explain much better here in a few minutes in the video that he's provided. We can also use that to make smaller videos that might be specific to certain careers. Just our dispatch center or just the officer side of things, just our records branch, from that main overall video that we have. So next slide, please, Kara. So yeah, that was our vision, just an overall showcase of Owen Sound Police. We don't currently have a video, professionally done video that does that. Again, maybe within that have shorter videos that would be specific. But again, better person to explain this than me is Russ himself. So he's created this to try and explain basically the proposal.
Services that can be used for a informational piece and also as a recruitment tool. Okay, so let's talk about the creative process here. What's going to happen? So with your project leads, they're going to sit down with your account manager and a producer. They're going to create a storyboard. Now, a storyboard is a little bit like a comic strip, apart from the fact that you actually get to help design it. So the idea being is that we get certain that all of the assets that need to be in this video are. We're also able to work out all the different locations, where we're going to be filming, and who you want in it. So we start creating an exceptionally tight filming schedule. This way, we can get as much in as possible. Now, for us, a filming day, well, that's a long one. We're able to start filming from 8 o'clock in the morning, and we finish when it's done. So if it finishes at 10, it finishes at 10. For us, a filming day, unfortunately, it's not a 9 to 5 job, so we're pretty flexible. Now, let's talk about the filming day itself. Well, you're going to have access to a crew of 4 people. They're going to be occasionally split into 2 separate groups. One will be able to go out on location and film activities taking place in the field, whether that's a traffic stop, whether that's drone footage, whatever is deemed necessary. Also, you have access to this amazing studio right here where we can do some voiceover work and get some extra footage that is maybe necessary with the green screen. And we have the audio lab as well, where we can make sure that just voiceover, if necessary, is added. So you're able to get access to all of those things. Now, for cost effectiveness, we are making sure that everything is available on that day. So to be as cost effective as possible, the more things that we put in, the better. Okay, now we've got all of those assets, so what are we going to do with them? What we're going to do is we're going to split them out and make sure that they all fit in the storyboard. Once we've got that and everything is organized, we then send that out to you as a rough cut. You then have a little check through and go, okay, yeah, this is how we like it, or I don't know if that's the right shot or the right feel, and we make those adjustments. Once we then know that we're all on the same page with regards to that, we then take it to the next level and we start adding the music, we start changing the little pieces and making it tighter and tighter. Because now we've got all the ingredients, we're starting to bake the cake. That's really what's happening. You then get a second review, and then after that, we take your feedback and we really start polishing it. And we've allocated you 15 hours worth of editing for this. So the more effort that is put into the storyboard at the start, the better. Now, what's really important to note is what we're actually doing during this day. So when we're going out filming, we're not just filming 5 seconds at a time that may be used for that section. So let's say we're doing a traffic stop and it's in the evening. Now, could we at a later point do a separate video promoting the harmfulness of driving under the influence and using images for that for a separate video down the line? Absolutely we could, because the footage, you own all of the footage. This means even if we only use 5 seconds of a certain clip, there may be another 2.5 minutes worth that we could use for other stuff down the line. This means you're able to make multiple videos as you need. because you already have those assets. Okay, let's look at the pricing. Now, when it comes to the pricing for this, it comes to $4,844. So that's for all of the meetings in advance. That's for the filming for the 4 crew, use of the studio, the sound lab, sorry, the audio lab. And if we are required to get drone permits, we'll be taking care of that as well. Right. Now you've got an overview of what's happening. Let's talk about our production roadmap, because we're going to be sending you with this a hard copy of the quote, a information sheet called a production roadmap, which we'll touch on briefly, and also just a one-pager about all the services that we offer. Let's have a look at the production roadmap. This is going to be a guide for you on your whole experience with us at CTRE Productions. So let's get going. Welcome. How can we help? The CTRE production team looks forward to working with you. Consultation. Got an idea and don't know how to get it off the ground? Let us bring your idea to reality. This is where we have discussions and we help you create that concept into an actual tangible idea. Agreement. Once an agreement is signed, we step into gear at full speed to assist you in success. Now knowing that we have all of your ideas nice and tight after that initial consultation. Pre-production. Our team sits down with your team to find the best solution on how to present your vision and the timing to make it all happen. Production. Now this is the fun bit. Event presentation, online or on location. We're there to make it happen for you and record what matters most. It doesn't matter if you are in studio or on location. Anywhere we can assist you. Editing. A review of the event will be available with a CTRE watermark visible. All edits will be completed upon request at this time. During the editing process, there will be 3 opportunities for you to make comments and adjust and assist in the guidance for this final creation. Approval. Upon completion of edits, a copy of the project will be sent to you for final approval. Payment. Final payment is to be made on the day of the project completion and or final approval has been received. Watermark. The CTRE watermark will be removed and data analytics made available for those live events. For video production and social media production, the final copy will be released upon the receipt of that final payment. Success. Your project has been delivered and you are now able to share with your team, your clients, and the world. If you need assistance with this, please feel free to ask. Our job is to help you get that message out there. So let us do that. Really looking forward to working with you. And yeah, I think it's going to be a great project.
So that was just, we really felt it was important that, Russ explained the actual process, and we felt it was important, and the chief felt it was important. We actually talked to the board themselves about the strategic direction of moving forward, with making sure that our citizens are actually kept abreast of what we do, and also that our members know the importance of that communication and that two-way piece of communication. And I think it really highlights even the recruitment piece. So even going out the last couple of years and representing the service at some of the job fairs, knowing that we're one of the only police services around, and the amount of people who log in to have that face-to-face connection, who are looking to get into law enforcement. And the idea is you want the best talent work here, no different than you want the best engineers, you want the best city manager, you want the best, it doesn't really matter who it is, and we should really be no different. You want the best talent, but people have to know what we are, how big we are, and then the amount of stuff that we actually do. So that was part of the whole idea, and so having somebody who actually could professionally put that together was important, and as best we could to try to keep it local as we could. And we're very lucky that we actually have somebody with that expertise in our community.
So what we liked about that was the fact that once that footage is captured, and again, the shooting, it sounds like it would probably be a day and a half to 2 days of shooting. Once that footage was captured, they'll use what they do need of that to create the video. However, we own all of that footage. So we like that in the future, whether it's future years or whether we have grants that could be applied to it, we can create more videos down the road for many years to come. So a lot of that footage will have it, we own it, and we can do what we want with it from there. And the cost would be greatly reduced down the road because the footage has already been obtained, it would just be editing hours. The other thing the chief had us clarify, which we got an answer on, was again, those shooting days, we're going to be able to stage most of the things that we want to feature. We'll be able to capture the inside of the station. We'll know who we want to speak in the video, and that can all be done. But there are certain events that we participate in throughout the year that we're just not able to coordinate on the shooting days. So the chief had asked whether we can capture anything and have that input into the video, and Russ said, again, so we're not going to capture the whole video. That's not our area of expertise. However, for example, we have some training coming up in April at the Silver Lake Camp in Solid Beach, some cultural awareness training. So I asked specifically about that. He said absolutely, he would just connect with whoever's going to be obtaining that video and make sure the formatting is what it needs to be, what we need, and he can then input that video that's taken by our member into the overall video. So certain things that we want to be in there, whether it's a community event or a specific barbecue or a training session, it sounds like that can be done. And finally, we just like that, again, his work is very polished and professional, and we think it would be a good representation of our entire service and to promote not only the service, but the city for potential applicants to attract and retain the best candidates that we can.
And knowing that there's probably, looks like there's going to be some growth happening in the city, and that growth is probably going to come from immigrants and newcomers and people from the actual city themselves. Anyway, that's it. I didn't know if you had any questions. Sorry, it flew long, but we want to make sure we. That's all.
I have I'll just leave a hard copy of his quotes and we wrote that.
My only question is, I wonder if you're thinking big enough, in the sense that once you get these videos, you're probably going to want to go back again to re-edit for seconds, thirds, fourths. I guess the filming is done, so that knocks the cost down. I'm thinking about the little ones you can be doing specifically to departments, if you're recruiting different departments as well as I think there's different things you can grab. Videos are a way of life now, apparently, for those so that
We discussed that with him. He kind of said, what are your main goals? And he said, I think to start, we like that overall video that showcase everything. But that's what we also like is it sounds like it's fairly easy for them to then tailor videos, whether we do a specific informative video on frauds and scams or impaired driving. He has the footage, it would just be paying for the editing.
Voiceover.
Yeah, the voiceover and using the green screen, and again, depending on if there's grant money in the future, currently the human trafficking possibly used in future years, grant money to make these videos with this footage.
So one of the big things is, communication center, promoting those applications for a career and people like her. So what we focus for the overall table footage. Siobhan mentioned we use 10 seconds overall video, but you might use that as your backdrop, photos are using the noise and everything going on. Put the green screen in the other room and just editing. That's the next video. We do now our editing with the green screen and then use that footage. 2 minutes of that footage to take. Send it to the municipality.
And even the work that we do with our party populations, that's the stuff that people sometimes don't see because we just go about doing our daily business. But working with the newcomers, a lot of them, they weren't coming forward to contact police for emergency situations because they're coming from countries like Africa and Syria, and they're afraid to call police. So breaking down those barriers and then being able to show a video, and talk about what we do, and it's us, like it's us. It's not just policing some video from out in Vancouver. It's all in sound police officers. Here's what our service is. Here's the people you're going to see. And these are the kind of things that we do.
Just want to point out that Hospital Curry is not fishing on.
Yeah.
It's fairly reasonable. It's a local supplier, and I think it's important for us to start moving in that direction. As the labor markets change and as we start looking for more opportunities in America going forward, have to become more and more competitive. like to point out the work that makes the commission on the together. It's really an excellent initiative, and even just the small pieces of art, a big video, bringing them and buying, but showing them the ship again, the buying. Positive. Excellent submissions already. It's made more. There's a lot of energy at the level for the people that volunteered, and they actually got volunteered. There were no volunteers at the sessions, so it's been really positive. It's a step in the right direction. So
One more comment. This is John Hammond speaking through my mouth. Thanks, the person.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
John would have said that.
Excellent. Outstanding.
Thank
you.
Thank you.
Moving on to item number 5, publication of minutes and edits. All in favor? Is there any business arising in this session? To correspondence from the city, there's a board action on the letter from the city requesting the time to service for the cap ride share fees. Under 16, item 16A, is a report of the advice staff provide their review of that. Moving on to item number 8, chairman's report. May's rising gas dash article. In the board part included recent articles for the Star regarding recent rise in gas dash status. I don't know if this falls under the heading of I told you so, or it adds to the chapter to the book on particular consequences. But if you'll remember that back in May of 2021, we got MD from Mississauga asked for our support for Bill 231, which we provided at that time. And that bill is already passed second reading, but as the article goes on to say, it's not progressing through this. It's just unintended consequences may not be forward created or issues that have developed by this more time. Increase in the number of actions.
We always get some,
Yeah.
but some of this came about. There was an awful death that occurred of a gentleman that had a gas bar. He was working at a gas bar down there. It was a person, I can't remember if it was a stolen vehicle, but they came up, got gas, they were able to get gas right away, and they didn't pay for it, and then the man working there ran out to stop them, and the person ran them over and dragged them down the street. They ended up dying as a result of it. That's part of why all this is coming. I think all of it in the States, or most of it, you have to pay before.
And it's the same as the thing that happened on BC at this called Simply One, where a kid trips on the 5,000 pickup truck, and as a result of that, they brought legislation for BC to require payments. Anyways, I just thought it was interesting. I thought that. All right, moving on, reports from the Inspector Issue.
Morning, I'll start with the criminal investigations and drug enforcement report. First item on the report, a very large drug seizure that came as a result of a month-long project that the CID and drug officers were involved in. 45-year-old sound man, quite a laundry list of different drugs seized from him, totaling about $65,000, including a pretty large seizure of fentanyl. 11 criminal code and controlled drug and substances act charges late at the time, and this couple of weeks ago, he was still in custody. So seen a bit of a pattern that's something that seems to be coming up every month or two. We're getting very large seizures here. So I'm working with the OPP, but remains to be a big issue here in town. Sudden death investigation, 30-year-old Owen Soundman, February 4th. The overdose related. There's a couple of bail violations that were done here by our CID officers. So basically, people who got released on conditions, they went out and checks, found that they're not complying with conditions, and arrested them back in jail, or it's currently standing for them. Another sudden death investigation, February 14th. This is a 53-year-old sound man. That one we're not convinced is overdose. It's an overdose, however, it's probably drugs as a contributing factor. Have a drug history, we have underlying medical conditions that went along with it too. So we're still waiting toxicology, but likely is a combination of medical lifestyle. Again, same day, second one, February 14th. This was a 53-year-old female visiting us from Wyerton. Long history of drug abuse. She was found deceased on the bathroom floor. That was believed to be another overdose death. Again, we always say that toxicology is pending, but sometimes takes a couple months to do the confirmation, but historical sexual assault, 39-year-old male, reporting a 25-year-old sexual assault from 25-year-old years ago. His father. That's a carry on to another investigation. We started with some of the victims, but so that is an add-on. An individual here in town that was generating quite a few calls, of course, mostly through the month and prior to that. So the mental health support roundtable system was initiated for that. And carrying on trying to get these supports for that now. We know of the theft from the vehicle there, because it's a rental vehicle. It's likely road trade. Smash and grab from that. Officers continue to do mandatory address lines checks with sex offender registry. Other follow-ups.
I'm curious about what the rental company was.
The rental company, there are a number of small, same big conglomerates that work out of PTA that rent small numbers of vehicles, and you know, successful. I think they clientele may not be your average clientele, and specialized. That answers your question. Bunch of follow-ups happened there. It was just point of one fraud related to Bitcoin, and just sort of highlights the idea that Bitcoin transactions do remain in for at least in terms of follow-up sort of role. Currencies are starting to gain traction. The back end of it, as far as system investigations, that sort of thing, sort of complicated. So it's, you know, they are getting a little bit closer to mainstream. They're very hard to track when frauds and that sort of thing happens, you know, digital wallets and stuff. So, the remainder of that report is just in relation to MR statistics, some of the staffing issues that we have there. The final thing I'll point out is in February, we're now at 3 drug overdose deaths. That doesn't count the 3-year-old male I mentioned, that's likely a combination. So it's 3 or 4 at this point. Probably a little ahead than we were last year, but also sort of follows the trend. We see below that 4 in 2019, 8 in 2020, 14 in 2021. So I was going to mention that, but I also attended the OSPSB Substance Advisory Committee meeting last week, and it's not just a one trend. It's seems to be across the province. The overdoses keep rising, and hope as COVID sort of starts to recede a little bit, that they get back to looking at the opioid epidemic crisis. That starts getting some attention.
Just a note on that topic. One hour session with Dallas, along with strategy. Information provided to the links. For this purpose, she's very interested in so discussed the need for a branch. Whatever affects everyone to the country.
I'll point out too is we're dealing with another ramping up potentially another one of these hotspots just in behind us, but a lot of changes that they made in the last little while with respect to CSA charges not being made for possession, things like that, would have an impact on our strategies in terms of our investigations and how we move forward on something that actually makes it a lot more complicated to get to the point where we can action in some of those places too. It makes it much longer, more technical and investigation. We don't have interactions that we used to have in some of the others. So get the idea why we're push towards criminalization and that sort of thing, but also just adds an extra layer on top. Got a lot of papers calling, why aren't you doing something? Working on it, it's going to take us a few weeks, and that's because it's just a much more complex process to get to that point where we can execute a warrant or take action. So, yeah, I mentioned that none of these changes seem to be working in PC's favors.
You know, Great County has a head-on crisis. Probably also just got a report from my panel from some task force, and there's a lot of this stuff. Fortunately, I call on some task force and all these folks that are trying to recognize that a lot of their some of their citizens that have issues, and they don't sound for the services that are medical and social services that are provided. I've suggested to a couple of municipalities that we have some of our services, maybe the municipality may become considered for services. Therefore, serve to realize that some tax dollars versus
Starting to see the pattern in places like Peterborough, Sioux, North Bay, and it's the same pattern we have in terms of it looks like it's a worse problem, but it's the Grand Bruce County bomber with hero services. It's the same in Sioux, it's all the small communities from flowers ground because times things like that don't exist in the small communities. So our services and the migrating where services are. Makes it.
I think people went and visited the Sioux Theater and find out that they're yeah. Great ship, but better ship.
There's more questions. I'll move on to the auxiliary report. We are back up and running as of February. We shut down until January. COVID again. So there were no scheduled community events as a result, but volunteer hours. February, I'm just getting back to the right. And with respect to the core report, again, Constable Martin is just presenting to you. She was just getting back to regular duties in the month of February after an injury and control. Her report still heavily involved in a lot of our community partnership events here. She was reached center where price was stolen, and so we're very happy to see that we covered that very shortly thereafter. also was responsible for coordinating the Colts Night of the Year fundraising walk. Support Safe and Sound. Probably at least a dozen. For that, so that was a very well attended event. I mentioned before, Georgia College was running the mentorship program again, and Mr. Martin, as well as 2 other officers here are involved in doing that as well. So I have 2 of these foundation students assigned for mentorship in some of the project work. Just I'll skip over to the problem areas on the back. I already mentioned the 900 block of 3rd Avenue West. That's one I was speaking about. They're currently working on, and some landlord tenant issues related to the 700 block of 2nd Avenue East. So, any questions? Or report? Questions?
Thank you. So collisions for the month of February, we had a total of 49, which is similar to last month and sometime last year. 26 on the east side, 11 on the west side, 12 in parking lots, 22 were looked after by a reporting center, 27 investigated by. Moving on to the community services office, just a few highlights here of Jason's report. He's been working with the Alpha Streets Resource Community, planning. They were going to do a session for youth on the March break. That's been put off to the summer, and it's going to involve Jason providing some instruction to youth up there on making positive choices. It was Fraud Prevention Month, and we brought in a partnership with the region and a recycling company, and this company came in and destroyed electronic devices for people, or they could also wipe them clean, like some hard drives, etc., for sensitive information. We wondered what it was going to be like if we get a good response, and it's a huge response. Many people attended, took advantage of the event, and I see that Sunny Shores is now hosting one. There's community presentations at Notre Dame on traffic congestion and also social media awareness. Crest Elementary School to grade 7 and 8 on social media safety, and also the co-op program at Georgia College on frauds and scams. And Jason also attended the 2-week drug use resistance education course at OBC, lives curriculum that they have. This will assist them in this after school community programming based on providing just a note on that. The instructor made a point of sending along accolades about Jason, and understand the student who was in the program, stood out over hundreds of students that this instructors provided training to, and it's considering Jason as a possible mentor for other community services officers, the people that are providing this program.
That's different than that service.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll move on to lost hours of training. During the month of February, we had 7 full-time members report sick or injured for a total of 191 hours. We had 1 member on WSIB. In addition to that, we had full-time members that were absent due to illness or isolation related absence to that was attributed to COVID for a total of 266 hours. We also have 2 members that are on right now for training. We had 4 members that were trained as scenes of crime officers by our own forensic officer and officer from West Ray and officer from South Shores were also trained to the course. We have 1 member that's currently taking the team policing course. It's really extensive. 2 members that were continuing their dispatch training. So now, they are doing service. There's no questions. Moving on to frontline control reports. We had 68 HTA charges late during the month, 74 cautions, 68 criminal code charges, and 131 for patrol. 28 on the ride checks, 4 cautions, 4 charges for traffic act related. 358 drivers checked during those programs, and 59 were also checked. We had 2 drivers that were charged by alcohol, tried to charge by drug, and were charged with by arrest. And I can provide Susan Williams' report on calls for service. So we had an increase of 1.29% in calls for service in February at the same time last year, for a total of 1,169 calls for service. That's over 1,154 same time last year. However, while it may seem like a small increase, that increase was primarily in calls for service, which are emergency calls where you're having at least 2 officers respond to those calls. That concludes my reports.
Just back to the board bylaws,
We made a vision. Board bylaw February, we always report on just our tax lists, that sort of thing. 3-year new or renewal driver license, taxi driver licenses, and 1 vehicle license issued for school license vehicle taxi fleet. So nothing unusual there. Reports go similar to last year. 2 custodies transported 38 persons in custody here by audio, which is sort of normal for our court appearances. 747 special counsel. Last one, records report. Keeping up with our local records searches and shy of 10,000 bulk searches we did in February. Very consistent of those numbers. So we're pretty much doubling what we did. Don't sure about that. Our cell phone monitors do that during hours. Much once again, we receive revenue for us. It's a good news story.
Got one for Jeff, though. Just going back, very credit about drug. We are into legalization of marijuana. How difficult is that to get somebody from drugs? At the time of the legalizing, they were talking about coming up with a breathalyzer type of machine. Such a thing never been developed.
So there is, however, there's a lot of difficulties with implementing the device. There's been a lot of problems with that. As far as identifying and prosecuting, it isn't hard. We have officers trained, 2 officers that have received specialized training. They're called ERPs, and they
evaluate people that are, they're suspected of driving impaired by a drug, and they do a number of tests with them, and they're able to identify the ones that are impaired by a drug, and they can actually bind them down to the class of drugs that they're.
I assume those tests have so much time of being pulled over and all that type of stuff, sets the rules.
Both of the drug impaired charges are like not cannabis related. That's what it is.
Oh.
It's probably just as much of an issue with cannabis.
Well,
Whether or not.
It's odd, I can be on the highway, and I can smell someone smoking a cigarette from me sometimes, and marijuana especially, driving through town. From smoking drugs. Jealous. Checking corridor through, there's a dope dispenser right there. Just like right over 4 hours. Fast times at Bridgemont High with the smoke coming out the windows. I can smell it all the way down the block. Way that guy. Driving on the fact that it's probably. I was freaking when I saw it. Especially because he had a couple drinks. Yeah, interesting. Good, thank you.
One second. On to service report.
I'll take that one. Director Bill's been absolutely that. But they did hire a technician who started on March. We're working with 9 rollout with Bell Canada. Set up configurations. We're doing some work tracking metro links or large scale match map, dispatch map for them. Metro links for huge areas for GTA and areas. So it's a really big map. Map improvements for OSPSB dispatch. Updates are supposed to be done in March and April. It's discussions on West Breakthrough service and the external services proposed for them. And security compliance audit for our own facilities. IT and physical security. That's a biannual.
I'm looking at 14 financial reports.
Yeah, so you'll see in this, you'll see the summary and be very concerned about the like 4% of our budget, $445,000 ahead of the variance, but which is a little bit of news that $350,000 approximately revenue dispatch in grants. So we're trying to set up the city to move our billing to their system so that it's all combined. That's issues with that. Their IT haven't been able to set that up, so we're setting up some capability. We want to start in January, but we can't issues. But when you look at the actual numbers, 90% salaries and benefits, our officers line are actually below 73,000. One of the issues that I have seen, and I'm not sure whether it's all sent over at once, they have sent out a message of the cities or insurance line under 30 is $47,000 budget. So whether that all came through at once and before it's offsetting compared to the year, or whether or not it's increased, but have to document it. So it's the majority. Some of the things are overspent because they're front loaded, so their service agreements are approximately 70,000, but that's paid up in the year. So possible here. We'll be looking at so overall, when you take out the amounts for the revenue, but some of the things I think we're still
In the 2020 actual and 2021 actuals, which jump on everything.
On which, summary.
It's right on the, I'm looking at first page. That's one.
Wages.
Well, wages in particular.
Oh, yes, for the, yeah.
1.6 million.
Plus, that's gonna be an error.
Yeah, there's something.
Yeah, the rate that has to be, I'll have to check.
Keep it. Next one. Benefit overhead.
Two, actually, since I'm even $1,000. Unless that's right.
I think the one's annual, but the 2021 is actual for annual, but 2020 actual is the date for the regular. I'll take a double check.
Craig, going back to that one. Would there be any advantage to throwing in line accounts receivable?
So
It might not be because accounts receivable would be what's already been billed for, but not paid, not necessarily what's going to be billed for in 3 months in terms of period of time. I'm just thinking that somebody look at that, they go, holy crap, but there's, we've got money coming from it.
So then you would kind of see that each accounts receivable. That 369.
I understand what you're saying. In reality, there's probably nobody except that's sitting around the table that looks at this. I'm just thinking, if somebody looked at this. Outside the organization,
If you just look at the summary.
created on their online news paper, was that actually asking the questions, and never asked the questions, not the thing that was.
I can imagine also we check what the variance is.
And overcome that by funding. Probably that's where. I was just thinking, there's always that explanation.
Yeah.
Probably too hard to do.
And then you've got to assume the person reading and understand.
Yeah, it's important to think about that.
I think we put it.
Yeah, maybe that's why you can just throw a line underneath it, that this does not include funding not accounted for, not received today.
And General is working with the city to try and change the way that people are monthly reports to you. To avoid those fluctuations where that's 3 months a day, so all of a sudden it's go right away. So we're trying to balance that out. And similarly, we anticipate the revenue throughout the year. It hasn't been received yet.
Yeah. Yeah, okay.
I mean, I'm too, I was like, I'm paying for succeeding cancer payments for 1,000. Second. I'll bring the question.
So let's see what there's about holidays taken back in February as well with OCP board and zoning. I think yesterday I belonged to the chair, so I speak for moving forward. The things that highlighted out there. Install the Solicitor General, just that was in relation to announcement about the rural health things, and along with that, I think some of those funding for coming for the license plate vehicles. Police services. Still will be a requirement.
I feel it's small benefit. Big issues, that's right. And then service material, they don't. Just transfer it all. Yeah, you're taking with them. Okay, moving on to item number 16, and we talked about the letter received from the city earlier today, and yeah, excellent report on funds area services, tax services and ratio in our area. And that's open it up for thoughts, comments, discussions.
Take a 2-minute bio break.
Sure.
I would like to follow this conversation on this list. Now we all,
Yeah, okay, great. 2-minute bio, last time. Right, between the back, item number 16, tax affairs, and
That's not, that's opened up to, that's, discussions based on statute.
Let me maybe give the background. This came up at council as we were looking at bus service and traffic bus service and all those things. Councilor Dodd, I believe a legislature on the west side versus the east side, minimum wage job. And to get to and from work was, I don't remember the exact, but it was $15 to $20 each way per day. Get to work on taxes. And not sure if that was but he just thought, going back a few years, quite a bit we used to have a flat rate. But we had that discussion with the taxi driver saying we can't break even on this and keep our cabs in good shape. $8 per flat rate. So that's what we put in the meters. Suppose, from our point of view at this table, not exactly sure why taxes are police board, probably some reason for it way back when. Probably less political than it here, but it's trying to find a balance. Our taxes to be able to profit, but at the same time, protecting the public. So that's kind of the background.
As you said, the reason we changed from the flat rate back then, the reason it's changed from the flat rate back then was because it just wasn't. Wow, and that's 8 years ago. I'm not sure that's really more.
There are also playing games. There's someone that says you go in $5.
And that's easy to see when you look around the area, that they negotiate favors.
Oh, that's right. That's right. That was the big cash deals were, yes, they weren't all.
It wasn't
so
fair.
So putting the instrument was forcing everybody to have to let it go.
I thought it was interesting in two areas. They were set fares, charged by the tax company. I was curious, but left to their own devices what the tax company should charge.
And I see our flat rate was $8 straight back in 2014. And but code proves is really to
A lot of people on the call were charging $5. Yes. And it was permissive that they say it. They made a deal because they do it 30 times and they go every day. We also do for school board. 5 kids to school every morning. And they'd be totally busy with the schools. I don't know how that works.
it's interesting, but it is what it's doing. They're subsidizing.
They looked at putting in busing and it was going to be excellent. They thought they could do it cheaper by putting in. Most of the people in this bill that are, I assume most of the people in this bill that are riding public transit are using it to get to the GO station to get onto public transit to go down. So they're sort of accustomed to being in there. It had 70% approval and I don't like it, which was partway through the report. We got down to the bottom of the report. This went back to approximately a year ago, I think, in the spring of 2020. Their costs ended up being a lot higher than what they anticipated, a lot higher than what the bus said. We don't have an Uber here. Yeah, so it's very It is something that right share that Mr. Richard Walker is looking at. Certainly, councils are open, so this will work.
Yeah, I kind of looked at that and that was a discussion. Council, because our bylaw operating miles.
Yeah. think from our point of view here, I'd like to see this report, you can send it to me and I can send it out to the council to the public, to get it to them. Yeah, I think, given that it's been 8 years, over the next year, we won't put in the work plan, which will make it plan. We want to review the tax bylaw and if it's appropriate time or not, it's probably.
In bylaw was done that, just January. Next, and everybody shared that.
Oh, okay, that's because we're thinking about,
And the other, side of the sheet has to be covered up. The other thing is talking to the tax credit investment to decrease the rates to essentially compete with the transit service. Doesn't fit well with your strategy of trying to build transit use and make money with everybody's bus with 500 other people. For the right to take my personal tax. That could be lots of city's bus. Plus, are we? I'm going to be able to stand up and say gas price $2 more to national rates. Because it's already passed. 8 years ago, we said we can't afford to say we have to increase it. And I wouldn't be surprised to see the tax guys going back because of the cost of insurance, gasoline. We're going to have to look at our minimum.
gas that costs obviously.
So the council's thinking of moving pricing in direction. Those things. But I'm sure.
This was just brought more attention. Awareness.
It is in response to
Especially because of all the subsidies that would have for lights and over $55.
What I'll maybe do is move that we receive the report and forward it to council in response. Any further action on this?
Yeah, I don't think it's the citizens.
Yeah, it kind of is because of the tax bylaw, but
I think if I was gonna look at that, I want to see what other, like the comparatives here, nobody else in the area is using it. So I want to see what other sources were charging.
There's a massive study that.
If we set that rate 9 years ago, I'd be very surprised.
I think town hall would cover a certain geographic area, probably to village. Beechford from one end to the other. Far. So. Just part of the second part, so. With mountain operating service. So.
It sort of seems wow, that's yeah, it's probably
On each person to. Might not be for tax credits. It's everybody who's well.
and it seemed works in west so talk about stuff.
So I know a few years ago, people were working for out, could no longer afford to.
Right, so the motion to receive the report for council for their information. Second. All in favor? Remember previous here. So it's kind of with all the items on the agenda. Thank you, Dwayne. We're going to move into pick up stuff up at the confidential section. I don't even want to join us for that portion if you wish. I don't think it was that much more to discuss. Yes. Right.
Take care, folks. Oh.
Okay. See you later. Have a good one.